Welcome to Spotlight on Bensenville. I'm Jim Mitchell, your host for our discussion today, and I'm pleased to have with me Mr. Joe Karachi, who is the Director of Public Works here in Bensenville, and a very busy man, really year-round. We're going to find out a lot more about what Joe and his crew do. Now, Joe, let's give the folks watching an opportunity to meet you a little bit. Tell us about your background and your service here in Bensenville.
Sure. I've been here in Bensenville for just under 6 years. Next month will be my 6-year anniversary. And I came here from another municipality, 10 years of experience over there working as their city engineer and public works director. So have a lot of experience with public works, dealing with residents, dealing with some of the issues that arise.
And public works to me always seems to sort of be the unsung hero in a community. You do a lot of different things that people don't realize. Can you kind of give us an overview of what public works really does in Bensenville?
Sure. I kind of explain it to most people as it's everything between the sidewalks. So you have sidewalks, you have your parkway, you have your curbs, you have your streets. You also have things underground, water, sewer, storm sewer and sanitary sewer. We deal with street lights, we deal with trees, we deal with street signs, traffic signals. It's, again, everything within those sidewalk parameters is kind of what Public Works does. Our Public Works department here in Bensenville also deals with facilities. We take care of the Village Hall, the police station, the Public Works department, buildings. The teen center and the theater are also things that we maintain from a facility standpoint. And then our fleet division is also another division of Public Works. We deal with over 200 vehicles here within the village of Bensenville, maintaining them, purchasing new ones, declaring some surplus and selling others. So keeping tabs on all 200 pieces of equipment that we use here within the Public Works, police, community economic development departments. And then lastly, our wastewater treatment plant. We just completed a $30 million wastewater treatment plant upgrade. Really high technology, state-of-the-art facility now. We deal with everything that comes into the house and leaves the house as well. So that's basically what Public Works does.
Huge inventory, a lot of vehicles, buildings, staff. What's your role? Are you reactive, proactive? Do you kind of set the standards? How do you interact all day?
That is a great question, and something that we're trying to move more into the preventative maintenance. More looking at maintaining all of our assets on a day-to-day basis. It's a struggle for most departments to get into that realm, that culture. We're very reactive. So, this day and age with technology, with social media, we're always expected to do things and drop everything to handle a resident concern, which is part of what we do. But it's sometimes trying to make sure we're also maintaining our infrastructure, maintaining our assets. That's the challenge. So,
and your role in particular, do you kind of do long-range planning? Are you involved day-to-day on routes and things that people are doing, or how do you get involved?
We have a great team of people there in Public Works. I got 37 employees and a good management team over there. I try to let those guys run the operations as much as possible. I try not to micromanage and get involved. We have, again, good supervisors, good assistant directors that can really handle the day-to-day operations and the engineering as well. So my job is really making sure things are happening. From a resident perspective, making sure that the requests are getting done, making sure that my staff has the tools that they need. So it's really, it's a management position that I'm doing. When I do need to get involved day to day, I do. Planning is a lot of what we do, a lot of what I do, looking out into the future and some of our projects and things like that.
Well, let's talk about those projects a little bit. You mentioned social media, you mentioned the wastewater treatment. There's new things, new technology, things always change, but residential services always remain the same. So what are the challenges, key things you're trying to focus on right now?
Sure. Again, I think it's trying to balance the reaction to the maintenance. So one of the things that we just implemented here in Public Works, and it's going to get broadcast out throughout the village, is a work management and asset management software package. It's called Cartograph. It allows us to manage our assets, manage the tasks and everything that go with those assets, preventative maintenance tasks that we can actually program in there to remind us at the right time. If I'm supposed to be doing oil changes on my vehicles every 3,000 miles, it'll actually trigger a task for our fleet division to do those oil changes. If I'm supposed to hydrant flush twice a year, it'll trigger at certain dates of the year. I need to hydrant flush each one of my 2,500 fire hydrants. So it's a software package that's very powerful to help us with that preventative maintenance responsibility, but it also puts requests of the residents up front and right in the spotlight of the software. So as soon as a resident calls into Public Works, we're right into that screen. Our secretarial staff does a great job getting all their information in there. Goes right out to the crew leader in charge. They can go and inspect the request issue. decide whether or not it's something that we should do now, something we should do later, or sometimes something we shouldn't do at all.
Okay.
And they can then create those tasks, assign it to our crews, who will be out in the field with their laptops, or with their iPods, or with their iPads or their phones, and be able to see what's on their task list for the day, complete those tasks, and remotely put in their time and material as well.
And as you mentioned, so much of what happens just by nature of the job is reactive. It's things that people need now. But when you're talking about the big projects, we're talking about capital investments, I know those plans could be 3, 5, even 10-year plans. As you look at what's going on short term and maybe medium term, what's happening in Bensenville that are on the list?
Sure. A lot. Actually, one of the reasons why I came to Bensenville was just the opportunities to be a part of some of these big projects that we're doing. From a village perspective and our projects, there's a few initiatives that our village board has put in their strategic plan that we're trying to implement. One of them being the bike path projects.
Okay.
We've just about completed our first bike path project on Church Road. We have multiple stages of our bike path program. We anticipate that we're going to have a full bike path route from our southern border at Grand Avenue all the way up to the new Elgin O'Hare Expressway by 2018. Also, that bike path will go from east to west along that Elgin O'Hare by 2018 as well. So we're really focusing on trying to get a bike-friendly community. So we have to start somewhere. So this year was our first year, and as we start going through multiple years here, we'll see those bike paths starting to connect. We want to get an on-street bike path to our downtown. We'd like to get bike paths to the Redmond Recreation Center. So there's been a big push, a big initiative on bike paths themselves. And we've been fortunate enough, too, to get a lot of grant funding for that. So on a lot of these bike paths, we're getting either traffic control mitigation grants, CMAQ grants through the state, DCEO grant. I mean, we're getting a lot of different grants for these projects, and it's really allowing us to pay for less than half of the bike paths as we move forward. So that's one big initiative here within Bensenville that we're controlling. Another huge one is the Elgin O'Hare Expressway. It is just consuming our time here at Public Works as well. From our utility staff out there, they're putting in infrastructure underground. They're trying to create this new roadway, and it's our job to protect our assets that are going to be within those corridors as well. So we're spending a lot of time with our efforts out there monitoring, managing the contractors to make sure the infrastructure they put in the ground that we're going to have to maintain is put in properly, put in the right way, meets the specs and all that too. So, but that Elgin O'Hare is really going to be a game changer for Bensenville. It's going to be going right through our northern and our eastern borders of town. So.
And that's a huge project. Talk to me a little bit about your role and Public Works' role in dealing with state agencies, maybe in federal agencies, the county, these people who are coming through or adjacent to the community. How much time do you have to spend coordinating with them?
Right. A lot. Again, from our perspective, we need to make sure we're protecting our interests. I mean, this is a huge agency coming in and basically saying, we're putting a tollway through your city. And it's our job, again, to make sure that whatever they're building has the least amount of impact on what we have to do day to day and what our residents have to experience day to day. So our engineering team, one of my assistant directors in charge of engineering, is spending a lot of his time coordination meetings. And the tollway has split this Elgin O'Hare into multiple contracts. So one little segment is being done by one engineer with one contractor. The next segment's a different engineer, a different contractor. The next segment, a different engineer and another contractor. They all have different subcontractors. So coordinating just weekly meetings takes up so much time. And we're trying our best to do it with our in-house staff. We're managing right now, but again, we're going to start seeing more and more construction happening here in the next 5 to 10 years.
Now, that is a big roadway coming through, as you said, right through town. Nonetheless, you've got just your streets, the residential and commercial streets that run through town here. And those, I know, for most communities are something that always have to be maintained. What's the workload like, and what does Public Works do in terms of repair and maintenance on just city streets?
Yeah, our city streets, we basically evaluate them every 4 years. We have a contractor come out and perform what's called a PCI, a pavement condition index. So it's basically a 1 to 100 rating of each one of our street segments. So based off of those ratings, that's what helps us program into the future our roadway program. But we also, just because a roadway might have a low PCI, we also have to think about the infrastructure underground. One of the things I don't want to do is just pave a roadway when I have a 70-year-old water main underneath it. We have to look at how are we going to update that infrastructure underneath that roadway at the same time. So there's a lot of moving parts with our capital improvement program. We try to keep our pavement index above 50 whenever possible, or above 80 is really desired.
Okay,
but
right.
we try not to let our roads go too far into the abyss. But we do monitor those, and again try to program not only the roadway but the infrastructure underneath as well.
We've got some other major initiatives that you're involved with. We're going to talk about those in a minute. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back on Spotlight in Bensenville.
The Water's Edge Aquatic Center is conveniently located in the Redmond Recreational Complex in Bensenville. The Water's Edge is home of Fenton High School and Wahoo swim teams, featuring an indoor 8-lane lap pool and diving well. The Aquatic Center is available for private functions and parties. Learn to swim, stay in shape, or enjoy recreational swimming year-round at the Water's Edge Aquatic Center.
The Bensenville Community Library, serving a community of readers. Whether you're old or young, a lover of words, music, or computers, the library has something for you. Check out our new Kindles, toddler jams, story and movie nights, or a variety of other activities offered. For more information, call us at 630-766-4642 or check out our schedule on the web at benlib.org. The Bensenville Community Library, celebrating 50 years of library service. Staying connected is important, and at the Village of Bensenville, it has never been easier to keep up to date with what's happening in our community. On your phone, PDA, PC, laptop, or tablet, the Village of Bensenville website offers easy integration, so you'll stay connected at home, in the office, or on the road. To follow us on Facebook, simply go to the Bensenville homepage and click on the Facebook icon in the lower left-hand corner. This will take you to the Bensenville Facebook fan page. Once there, click the like button to add us to your newsfeed and receive regular updates from around town. To follow us on Twitter, simply go to the Bensenville homepage and click on the Twitter icon in the lower left-hand corner. This will take you to the Bensenville Twitter page. Once there, click the follow button to add us to your Twitter feed and receive regular community updates. To receive email and cell phone notifications, click on the Notify Me button. This will take you to the Notify Me dashboard. Once there, simply add your email address and/or cell phone number at the top of the page, and then select which service you would like to receive updates from. The most common update section is in the Newsflash Bensenville News. Click on the envelope icon for email alerts and on the phone icon for phone alerts. You can choose one, the other, or both. To watch our public access cable show or board meetings, simply click on the Bensenville Web TV button on the lower left sidebar menu of the homepage. This will take you to our streaming center, where you can play current and past Bensenville cable TV shows and board meetings. To pay your Bensenville utility bill online, just click the Online Payments button and then follow the instructions provided on our secure payment site. If you have any problem, concern, or question to tell the village, then click on the Bensenville Action Hotline button. This will take you to the Action Line dashboard, where you can explain your issue and receive a response within 48 hours once you have clicked the Submit button at the bottom of the page. Staying connected is important, and at the Village of Bensenville, it has never been easier to keep up to date with what's happening in our community. On your phone, PDA, PC, laptop, or tablet, the Village of Bensenville website offers easy integration, so you'll stay connected wherever you are.
Jim Mitchell back with you on Spotlight in Bensenville. We're talking to Joe Karachi, who is the Director of Public Works here in Bensenville. We've covered a lot of ground already, but there's so much more that you're involved with. And you mentioned the wastewater treatment plant and the fact that, you know, water going to the home, water leaving the home is all part of what Public Works does. Tell us about the scope of that.
Yeah, so again, one of our core functions, bringing water into the homes and then taking care of the wastewater that leaves the home. So our water comes from Lake Michigan. We actually purchase our water through the DuPage Water Commission. Once that water comes into our facilities, we have to maintain and control our water distribution. So our water distribution consists of a whole network of pipes, of valves, of fire hydrants. It also has facilities that control where the water is going and the pressures and things like that. We are required to have certain amount of storage on site so that if something does happen to our water system, we have enough storage to at least get us through a couple of days. We do that through 2 elevated storage tanks that are each 500,000 gallons of storage. We also have 3 ground storage facilities, 900,000 at 2 locations, and then a 750,000 gallon location up near Foster. So being able to maintain the distribution is a task in itself, and historically it's been done manually. We have upgraded to a computerized SCADA system that actually controls our valves for us. So we can put set points into this computer and basically let it run itself. Included with this SCADA system is a bunch of alarms. If anything goes wrong, we get notified. And that's how we control the water going in now. Now it's the wastewater side coming out. So anytime you flush your toilets, do your laundry, anything like that, it goes out to our Bensenville wastewater treatment plant. We're one of a few communities that actually run their own plant. We have a 4.7 million gallon wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
Over the last 2 years, we've done a major upgrade to that plant. We've reduced the number of processes that we have over there to try to make it simpler, make it more effective. We've also started to include some provisions in there for phosphorus removal. When we're completed with the treatment of our wastewater, we actually discharge it into Edison Creek, which goes through our Redmond facility and ultimately down into Illinois River and the Mississippi River. So we have to be very cognizant as to what quality of water we're releasing into the creeks. So some of the new mandates are for phosphorus removal and nutrient removal. We've actually built that into our new plant. So we're one of the first wastewater treatment plants in the Illinois area to be doing that. That was a feat in itself and a cost in itself, but it is implemented into our new wastewater treatment plant. Again, that is SCADA controlled, automated. We do have people there monitoring it all the time. We have a great staff of wastewater treatment professionals that are running that facility for us day to day. So quite an operation.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now that's all underground. Above ground, I know that Bensenville has really been aggressive in the last few years in terms of parkway restoration, putting in trees, things of that sort. Is that something your group is involved with as well?
We also do that. That's our forestry division.
Okay.
So we got hit pretty hard with the emerald ash borer bug that came through. We lost almost 1,000 trees, and we've been actively trying to replace those trees. So each year, at least in the last 4 years, we've been very aggressive with our tree planting program. We've actually taken a lot of those tasks and starting to implement those in-house, where we used to do them contracted. And again, with a professional staff of licensed arborists and forestry personnel, we're able to be able to do some of that in-house and be able to save some of the money on the installs. So we're doing about 200 trees a year when possible.
Okay.
The tough part is maintaining those, because we do need to water those for about 3 years after the fact. So keeping track of all that inventory is definitely a challenge in itself. And again, something that Cartograph is helping us do is being able to track those and provide us the tasks we need to make sure that we're maintaining them properly.
And what about the mature trees in terms of trimming and monitoring their health? Is that something that goes on as well?
It sure does. We do a trimming program, something I implemented when I came here 6 years ago. We do a 4-year rotation. So we're hitting every tree every 4 years.
Okay.
We have maintenance zones that are identified in the town. You can find those maintenance zones on our village website, but basically we use contracted services as well as in-house services. Any tree that's greater than 10 inches in diameter is contracted out. And we do the 10 inches and under so that we don't have to do any climbing or get any power lines and things like that, more of a liability safety issue for us. But that's a program typically done in the wintertime, usually right after the first of the year. We do that because that's the right time to trim trees. A lot of people will call us in the middle of summer saying, I want my tree trimmed. It's actually the worst time of the year to be trimming trees. You want to take the trees when the energy of the tree can be focused on growing versus providing leaves and things like that. So doing it in the winter, you have less sap running. You're taking the trees, and by trimming them in the wintertime, you're also reducing the risk of disease. You're also eliminating the bugs, because in the summertime the bugs are out and they want to get in the trees, and a fresh cut tree is where they get into this. So we really try to avoid trimming trees in the summertime. You want to do that in the wintertime. However, there are going to be those emergencies. So when a tree does need to be trimmed, if it's considered a hazard or an emergency situation, we obviously are going to go do that. But we tend to try not to trim trees just for shape and dead wood and things like that in the summertime.
And I'm going to throw a question at you here because I've heard you mention the engineers working on the Tollway project, forestry experts, wastewater professionals. It sounds like your staff is really comprised of people who have very diverse backgrounds, but very specific in handling things that are important to the community that many of us probably don't think about.
Right. Yeah, I can't say enough about our staff. They do great work, especially emergency situations. I've never seen a team of individuals that can just step up and respond, whether it's a water main break, snow and ice control in the wintertime. We've had a few flooding events and wind events over the last couple of years. These guys do a great job in those emergency situations. It's usually all hands on deck. These guys work great as a team. And most of the staff is very diverse. They can, someone in a utility division can step up and help the forestry division as well, doing some of their tasks. Maybe not the lead person, but they definitely can help with, moving branches and brush around after they cut them down. So, I can't say enough about the staff. They're great.
And we live in the Midwest, so I've got to ask you about this because it happens everywhere. We're talking about the streets, potholes. I assume that's part of your regular routine as well?
Sometimes I wish it wasn't, but yes it is. Yes it is. And again, potholes, call them into Public Works. We will stick them into our Cartograph program. We'll respond to them the best we can. We typically are out there in the wintertime when we're not plowing. We're out pothole patching. We know that's the time when the potholes are going to show up. It's all a matter of freezing and thawing of the pavement. That's what causes the potholes. So you'll get those a lot during the wintertime, especially when the temperatures dip low, rise up, dip low. That's when they start forming. So we do our best. We ask our residents to be patient. I mean, again, our goal is to make sure that our roads are safe for driving. So we will respond to any emergencies we can, but also understand that we are out there as much as we can in the wintertime with our hot box patching as many as we can.
Yeah.
So.
And in wintertime, you just mentioned something that we really hadn't talked about yet, which was snow plowing. Is it? I assume it's your crew that's out there every time the snow starts to fall.
It is. We have a number of different scenarios that can happen in a snow event, and from a salting operation to a full plowing operation, we typically have as many as 10 people out there in plows, in bobcats, in end loaders, pickup trucks, whatever, plowing, salting in any given shift. We run 2 shifts. They're 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So they rotate around that 7 o'clock time frame. Try to overlap as much as we can so that we don't lose any service out there. But we have guys monitoring our weather apps and our weather programs to try to get stay on top of all of these storms that we get. Everyone's different, so it's very difficult sometimes to to write a protocol for a standard snow event because they're all different.
Yeah. All right, so let's kind of wrap up. Hopefully we've given the listeners, viewers, a good view of what goes on in Public Works. But if they want to know more, either just about general services or things that they'd like to see done or have input on, what's the process? Where do they get information about Public Works?
I would probably say the best place would be the village website. So if you go to www.bensenville.il.us, there's a tab under Departments for Public Works. You can find out anything about any one of our different divisions there. There's call numbers and hotlines and protocols and forms and all that kind of stuff. So if you can't find it there, feel free to give Public Works a call, and we'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Joe Karachi, the Director of Public Works here in Bensenville, has been the guest today on Spotlight in Bensenville, and we certainly appreciate his time and appreciate all of you taking time to be viewers with us today and spend some time. We'll look forward to having you with us for a future edition as well. Thanks for being here.